Welcome to Glass Half Full with Leslie Krongold. She shares her stories, experiences, and knowledge of living and coping with a chronic health condition. Learn about tools and resources and hear inspirational interviews that help you to live a life filled with quality and dignity. With 2 decades of support group leadership, Leslie's ready to help you make lemonade out of life's lemons. Are you ready?
Are you familiar with the literary genre microhistory? It's a very focused exploration of a particular subject. For example, take salt or laughter and examine its history, cultural contexts. It's a deep dive about something very specific. Mary Roach, a popular science author, does this well, and there are several popular microhistories about subjects as diverse as paper, the rabies virus, and Roach's book Stiff about the use of cadavers. This podcast episode is about the bath. You know, the immersion in a tub filled with water. And maybe my whole approach to having a theme-specific podcast is similar to a microhistory, albeit without the time-intensive research. Let's say this is just the tip of the iceberg for bathing. I invite you to explore it further.
Splish splash, I was taking a bath, long about a Saturday night. Yeah, a rub dub, just relaxing in the tub, thinking everything was alright. Well, I stepped out the tub and put my feet
My earliest memories of bathing in a tub included a few Barbie dolls. In my childhood world of fantasy, my bathtub was the public swimming pool for Barbie, Ken, and those weird little Dawn dolls. I gave that up, both the dolls and baths, for showers. Who has the time to take a bath when you're climbing some career ladder? Showers are more efficient, time-wise and for water conservation. Baths are a luxury for people with lots of time and bonbons. Many ancient cultures have bathing rituals. Sumerians, Babylonians, Assyrians, Jews, Egyptians, Greeks, Roman, Hindu, Mayan, and Aztec peoples associated bathing as part of renewal and purification. I don't know if Cleopatra was dipping into the Nile for her fibromyalgia, but for years I've had a lot of pain in my arms, shoulders, and neck. I use all types of topical analgesics, and I found a lot of relief with hot water on my back and neck. I'd spend extra time in the shower just to feel that hot water overtake the muscle pain. The problem was I associated showers with morning, and my pain was certainly more intense at the end of the day, so at some point I made the switch to bathing at night, and of course, immersing my entire body in hot water was a lot more soothing than a shower. It wasn't a steady diet of nightly bathing, though. It took a while to develop my now entrenched nightly bath ritual. Recently, I found an article on WebMD that mentions the healing properties of a warm, not too hot bath. In fact, there's a name for this: balneotherapy, the treatment of disease by bathing, usually practiced at spas. This is different from hydrotherapy, which, according to Wikipedia, is a part of medicine that involves the use of water for pain relief and treatment. The term encompasses a broad range of approaches and therapeutic methods that take advantage of the physical properties of water, such as temperature and pressure, for therapeutic purposes, to stimulate blood circulation and treat the symptoms of certain diseases. Balneotherapy may involve hot or cold water, massage through moving water, relaxation, or stimulation. I have explored other healing properties of water that may be considered either hydro or balneotherapy. Years ago, I heard about Watsu from members of my support group. As I understood, Watsu is a word combining water and shiatsu. According to Wikipedia, Watsu is a form of aquatic bodywork used for deep relaxation and passive aquatic therapy. It is characterized by one-on-one sessions in which a practitioner or a therapist gently cradles, moves, stretches, and massages a receiver in chest-deep warm water. I've been very fortunate to travel internationally, and I often include a visit to a spa on a trip. While in Belgium several years ago, I visited Spa, Belgium, the origin of the word spa. The town is famous for their mineral springs. Well, at the spa in Spa, they offered Watsu treatments. Let me tell you, one person's nirvana can be another's torture. My session was with a woman who spoke no English, only German. She instructed me to lie back in the water while she used her arms to glide me around. No bathing cap was provided, and the sensation and sound of water pouring into my ears was far from relaxing. I love visiting spas, and they are so very different, but my preference for a truly healing experience is still in my bathtub. A few years ago, I was invited to speak at Stanford University's annual Myotonic Dystrophy Symposium. The topic was quite general: adults living with DM. That's myotonic dystrophy. The majority of speakers were doctors and healthcare professionals associated with the neurology department, but they also wanted programming filled by a few community members. During my preparation for this event, I spent a lot of time analyzing all that I do to manage my symptoms. I've talked in this podcast about self-management health behaviors. I've practiced so many of these behaviors over the years to help me maintain a certain health homeostasis. What I determined is that sleep is critical to my ability to function the next day. With a restful night's sleep, I have less pain and more energy. If you're familiar with Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I devised a similar hierarchy of my own needs, and sleep is the foundation. A copy of this presentation can be accessed through the podcast show notes on the Glass Half Full website. You've probably heard that sleep does not come easy to many people. I'll probably devote a future podcast to sleep, but I've made many changes in my daily routine so I can get the best sleep without the assistance of drugs. And that's where my nightly hot bath comes in. I already knew a bath helped my body pain, but I wasn't convinced about a nightly bath for sleep. But I am now. It's a ritual that includes no food at least 4 hours before I'm going to get in bed. I cease any type of screen time about an hour before bedtime. And I start running the hot water while I brush my teeth. Also, one of my cats, Ginger, likes to join me. Not in the tub. You certainly don't know cats if you thought that. I make a little cushion on the toilet seat where she nuzzles herself and generally naps while I'm in the tub. When the water is about 3/4 filled, I switch to cold water. Depending on my mood, I may use bubble bath, bath bombs, bath salts, or an essential oil. I only use natural products. The WebMD article suggests for the best healing, soak in the tub up to your neck for 10 to 15 minutes at the most. My immersion into the water is slow, often because it's pretty hot water, but I find the gradual easing into the water to be part of the ritual. I'm separating the day's activities by slowing down. The hot water causes your blood pressure to drop. I don't want to shock my body. I savor each moment of inching down farther into the water. The multi-sensory experience of the tactile hot water, lavender, and other essential oil aromas for my olfactory sense, the sounds of the water moving, dripping, and even the old house plumbing are part of the whole process. Visually, it would be great to bathe by candlelight, but it's not the safest, so I gaze over at my beautiful cat, who seems to be just as content as I am. Ready to hear from another bathing fan? I met Barbara at a local hospital support group for adults with chronic health conditions, which I attended for about a year. Barbara has chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. What stood out for me during our overlap at the group's meetings was hearing her speak about the importance of remodeling her bathtub, and I thought, wow, we take the same meds. I recently met with Barbara at a local restaurant.
I've always loved baths. I have a lot of fire in me, and so water has been really, really good to kind of keep me level. Before I knew I had chronic fatigue, and I was working a very aggressive schedule. I was bi-coastal, traveling a lot, and it felt like I was working 24/7, tremendous amount of stress. And I started getting these symptoms, kind of like if you stuck your finger in an electric socket. So it was the amygdala kicking in, the fight or flight mechanism. And the episodes got longer and longer. So instead of just having that initial, maybe 10 seconds of feeling that run through your body, I could get it for hours and even days. And the only relief that I had was getting in a hot tub of water. So I would sometimes be taking, in between my work issues, taking baths 2 or 3 times a day and just soaking in really, really warm water and letting that kind of dissipate through the water, all of this energy or this whatever we call it was. The gateway drug was the little pink 1950s bathtub, which was perfect. Yeah, perfect in a lot of ways. And that's still there. That's in an upstairs bathroom. And I spent a lot of time in that tub when I got sick. A lot of time in that tub. And then about 5 years later, we remodeled a bathroom downstairs that wasn't usable, and it was a bigger tub, no jets, but you could really be submerged in it more. So it could get above my shoulders, and while I was sitting in it, I didn't have to lie down in the same way. And it also fit my husband, so that was kind of fun because there was a tub for 2. It was a tub for 2. And that was really nice. But then again, it was the water thing that kind of pushed us over the edge, and the fact that it was medically kind of recommended for me to be in the hot water regularly, because that seemed to alleviate some of the symptoms, the achiness and the swollen quality of my hands love it, which are now I don't know, it could be arthritis, could just be the fibromyalgia. With the water shortage, we were running into a problem because each bath is like 35 gallons of water. And 70 gallons of water is a lot of water per day. And we figured, hey, hot tub, it's always there, always ready. Don't have to fill a tub. We cut our water use by 60%. Immediately. And yeah, I'm still taking hot tubs once or twice a day.
Does it have the same effect as the indoor tub?
It does. I can sink into it completely. And it's warm and it stays hot, which is nice because the regular tub didn't stay hot. It would eventually cool. And this just stays warm for however long I want to be in it. It also has the jets in it so that I can actually work on my scoliosis, which I forgot to mention is a chronic condition that interacts very much with the chronic fatigue. They don't know whether the scoliosis gets worse because I'm tired or the chronic fatigue gets worse because of the scoliosis. So I work on them both simultaneously. But the hot tub's been fabulous for that because I can actually be very specific with my feet, with my back, with my legs. So it's great for the fibro, great for the chronic fatigue, great for the scolio. I love water. I love my baths.
How long will you stay in it?
Sometimes it's a quickie where I just want to warm up and I'm in it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Most typically it's about 20, 25 minutes.
Are you doing it right before you go to bed, or when do you do it?
Sometimes I do it when I get up. Sometimes I do it in the afternoon. Sometimes I do it in the evening. Sometimes I do all three, depending on how crappy I'm feeling. So the more discomfort I have, the more likely I am to be in the tub. It soothes me. It soothes my body. It soothes my spirit. I also like it because it's outside. So I can watch the fog, or if it's not foggy, I can look at the stars. I can always guess who's running around in the bushes.
Who?
Animals.
Oh, okay.
Animals. A lot of animals up there. Skunks, possum, raccoons, rats, deer. Well, one of the things that is kind of a bummer that also comes with age is the thinning of the vaginal skin. And hot water and old vaginas don't go very well together. So I've been having to learn how to deal with that. I don't know if you want the gory details, but it's kind of an issue. At first I thought I was just getting yeast infections, so we ended up, poor Marty had to dump all the water out of the tub and clean it with a special cleaner and then go through this whole multiple day treating process. And this water is the cleanest water in the universe. I mean, it's really remarkable how clean he keeps it for me. And I have to say that's a really big deal for me, because it's not insignificant the amount of time he puts into it so that I can just pop in that tub. And I'm really grateful for that. I don't know if I had to maintain it by myself that it would be as effective, but that's an important thing about a hot tub. And so finally I called my OBGYN and I said, hey, I'm having an issue, and I tried doing the over-the-counter whatever. I'm still having an issue. She says, maybe it's not yeast, come on in. Well, sure enough, it's not yeast. So now what I have to do, which is really kind of funny, is after the hot tub, I have to use an ice pack to just cool everything off down there. Yeah, exactly. And then use a little dab of both an estrogen cream and a hydrocortisone cream. And that seems to be helping quite a bit.
Good to know.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, that's how you learn.
That's how you.
Other people.
Exactly. We even go out actually in the rain. So I have a cowboy hat that can, just funnel the rain, and just sit in the hot tub in the rain, in the cold and the wind.
See?
For me, there's a very spiritual component to it. Water's always been ritualistic, in itself. I'm not so much of a candle burner, but I don't need that. And that connection between earth, sky, and water is really, really wonderful. I like the outdoor tub a lot, a whole lot.
Do you have trees protecting the area? Because I would love to have an outdoor tub, but I don't feel complete comfort about the privacy.
Yeah, well, we're sort of half private and half not so private, so
Blind, right?
yeah. yeah, but when the kids get a little older, we'll have to be a little more cautious. But we are planning to put in a rather tall fence in one area, more for security reasons, because we just don't want any kids coming up there and killing themselves in the hot tub. That would be unfortunate. So we're going to do that. And then the rest of it's surrounded by bamboo. And, I got to say, if somebody is really committed to looking at this 60-year-old body, God bless them.
Shall I draw a bath for you now? Before we part, Here are a few tips I've gleaned from various sources. An apple cider vinegar bath helps relieve sore muscles, itchy skin, and sunburn. I've never tried it, but it's now on my to-do list. Epsom salts are also relaxing for sore muscles and help with cleansing the body of drugs, chemicals, and pollutants. Herbal remedies for a relaxing bath include catnip, chamomile, jasmine flowers, lavender, clary sage, and rosebuds. A word of caution, though, to bathers with a heart condition: a sudden rise in temperature puts stress on your cardiovascular system, so make sure the water temperature is not too hot. Stay hydrated and only stay in the water for a short period of time. Of course, I'm not a physician, so consult one if you have heart disease. And I'd like you to remember the next day, after you've had that great night's sleep with the help from your relaxing bath, to write a review on iTunes for Glass Half Full Podcast. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Glass Half Full. Leslie invites you to leave a rating and review on iTunes. This helps spread the word to others dealing with chronic health issues. For show notes, updates, and more, visit the website glasshalffull.online. glasshalffull.online.